We're going to go through several different things, and some of this we really have to slow down, but a lot of it is going to be you guys trying things, some of the drills. I think the purpose is to understand the swing that we're teaching. Number two, try to or become a little bit more successful at identifying what some of the problems are or some of the things that your kids can work on with their swings. And three, to use some of the same techniques or drills that we're using here in our lessons. That way everything reinforces everything else on hitting. There's not a lot of difference in approaches to hitting overall in different places. There could be people teaching things that are not fundamentally correct, but we can't help that. So just be aware. And I would never criticize another hitting coach. I just tell some of the kids, here's what we do. I can tell you why, and it's up to you to work on these things. But it's not a good idea to go to 2 or 3 different people for hitting because it gets confusing. Same thing with pitching or anything else. Okay, let's go through the swing before as we start. Okay, first of all, pre-swing, the grip. You're going to see a lot of kids with the bat deep in their palms, and some of them even show off by taking their thumb off the bat or their fingers off the bat. I always tell them, the best swing that you can get is to have the bat in the fingers, so that your index finger is almost like a trigger finger on a squirt gun or something. And the reason for it, again, is this is a better grip. I'll always say, hold out your hand, and I'll put my finger in there, and it pulls out easily from the palm. Right, Morgan? And then put it in with the fingers, and they understand it's a better grip. Plus, it's a lot easier to snap through correctly if you have the grip correct. If these knuckles start getting to where these are lined up, you're going to have people much more likely to do this, which leads to a lot of either missed pitches or ground balls. So that grip is really important. Stance. Feet should be a little bit wider than shoulder when they start. So the youngins, this is okay. Okay, when they get older and stronger, like Miss Morgan back there, they can get a little wider because their base can be a little bit more solid. But we know that females are their core strength develops later. And so, you're going to see a lot of them straight up like this, which is not the best. So just be aware of that. But as they get, I always tell them that when you're in your stance, feet are a little bit wider than shoulders, knees are bent, eyes, if they make a line with your toes, then you're up straight. If they make a triangle like I am now, you're good. If you're balanced, the weight is on the balls of the feet, and you can use a balance board to help them with balance because some of these kids are so weak core-wise, they can't really stay in balance when they're swinging and they fall all over the place. I know one who's really unbelievable at that. That was a very entertaining lesson, by the way. So that's critical that they're in a balanced position, and as they get older, they can get wider. But if they get too wide young, that's all the hip turn you're going to get. And a lot of the swinging, just like throwing, is with the legs. So good hitting starts down here and works its way up and through the body. So everything starts down there sequentially and moves up. So when we go through lessons, we start down there and work up. So that position is important. I don't want to forget anything. Their knees on their stance are inside the ankles like this, and they need to either stay there or no further on their load than lining up with the ankles. If they go too far back, they really can't drive into the ball. So you've got to watch how they load. Bat at the shoulders. You're going to see in some of the videos, some of the kids are here. Okay, this is fine for a strike 2 swing. Okay, this bat angle is poor because they can get a lot more out of their swing. This is very difficult, and I have a heavy wooden bat there. One of the ways you can prove that it doesn't work is try to start a swing with that, and you're going to see they drop the hands immediately. If the hands are too high, you know the first thing they're going to do, they're going to bring them down like this. And now we're in a bad swing. So this stance is really critical. This is a good position with the bat at about 45 degrees back and slightly this way. Am I doing it right? Is it back there? So, and the reason is you're going to get more out of the swing. I haven't done anything with my hands yet, and I can still get to that batting position. I remember a couple of years way back, one of the high school coaches out here, he had his kids like this because he said now they can just get into the, hitting zone. But look at how much of power you're missing from there. So he sacrificed a lot for that position. Fundamentally, I wouldn't do that. So they should be able to be back here. Front shoulder lower than the back shoulder, okay? Arm relaxed. I always tell them, gravity works. So if they're out here, they're flexing. Just relax. It should be down here. You want to be as relaxed and loose as possible. And girls, in an effort to really please their coaches and get 100% and live happily ever after, they want to do everything right. And you've got to stop them from compartmentalizing everything. You'll see kids on other teams, you'll see every step. Okay, I got that done, now this done, now this done. It's got to be fluid. So we'll work on that real hard. Okay, bat at the shoulder, 90 degrees to the pitcher. Okay, so that you're totally, I call this open. I don't know what's the right terminology, but I'm open to the pitcher right now. Okay, this is a problem. If the front foot is ahead of the back foot, I'm not going to say open or closed, real easy to call pitches. Low and inside is very difficult to hit. If they're running away from the plate, outside is pretty easy to call at the younger ages. Okay, and you can tell in their on-deck circle if they're coming even or if they're coming too far or not far enough. So, you want to watch that. I want to try not to digress too much here. Feet. This I see as a problem. Really been coming up. Instead of these feet facing the plate, a lot of them have turned into penguins. Okay, and it could be just with the back foot, or it could be on the stride. But once you start doing that, what does this do, to your position? It starts opening up the hips early. This one, when it's back, what it leads to is squishing the bug. And that's something that does absolutely nothing for a swing or for power or even for accuracy. Because if we see this, what pitch are you going to call? What pitch are you going to call if you see this? Outside, because they're past the plate. Now, if they want to hit that outside pitch, you're going to see this. And one girl from 15s who just came to us, I said, you're going to have trouble with inside. She said, no, that's what I hit. So I said, well, show me where you stand at the plate. She's right on top of it. Okay, I said, well, that's why you can hit outside. I would throw you high and inside all day. You can't hit it because you're too close to the plate. Your hands are going to get hit. So maybe she understood a little bit more. Okay, the load. There are a couple of different ways to do it, but to be standard, this is what the Arizona coach kind of was preaching. The load is something where it's got to be slow. And so all of the pre-batting things that they do, taking a deep breath, having a routine at the plate, whatever it is, picture imagery, sound imagery, something to get them relaxed before they even step in. Okay? So when they step in, one foot in the box, hand up, just telling the ump, I own this plate. She doesn't. When I'm ready, you can start this game. All right, let her pitch. Okay, I step in. Now I'm ready. I've got to get myself calmed down. So a deep breath, you see baseball players do that all the time. It's just to lower blood pressure, lower the heart rate, and get you relaxed, because a relaxed body is much faster than something that's real tense. And they tend to be, as a group, very tense. Everything before the swing starts is slow. The load is slow. The step is slow and early. life begins when the swing begins. So pre-swing, before you swing, the load. You're in your position now. This is a load. This is about how fast it should go. That's about it. Load slowly, because if they load quickly, they're going to be knee past the ankle. Now how do you get back into the pitch? And it's going to change the head, the height. And we now know that it takes, I think, something like 7 milliseconds for the, I could be wrong on the number, but it's ridiculously short amount of time for the eyes to see what's coming, register where that muscle or those hands should be, and then get it there. And so if they move like this as the ball's coming in and they decide they're going to start swinging and their head's moving up, there's no time for the brain to process, I'm at a different height now. Now I have to change where my swing is going. And so, when you see this or you see this, you're going to see they don't make solid contact. And it's just because there's no time to process. So it's important for everything to be as perfect and relaxed as possible. So this is the load, okay? That's all it is. This heel comes up off the ground. It can push you back a little bit. The shoulder's going to turn in just a little bit, but not much. It's extremely important their head straight up and down. And if they don't believe it, have them walk around like this for a while, okay? The eyes will attempt, you think that they're compensating, not necessarily. And the other thing is if they turn away from the pitcher too far, if they turn too far, they're going to be seeing the ball coming in with one eye, okay? And when you see the ball with one eye, if you're right-handed, odds are you're going to be right-hand dominant or right side dominant. So all you have to do is ask them, and you guys can try this, just make goalposts, put an object right in the middle of the goalposts, and just close one eye and close the other, and see which eyeball puts the light or the object more in the middle of your frame of reference. Okay, with me, the left eye puts it almost behind that light behind my hand, and with the right eye, that's right in the middle. So you'll probably see that you're right eye dominant. So what happens is if you're only seeing with your non-dominant eye and that pitch comes in to view of both eyes, that ball's going to jump. And so it's going to be very hard to make solid contact because now all of a sudden right eye takes over. And again, there's no time for the brain to signal a change that came, even though you don't even realize it when you're seeing it. So it's important to see that. So 2 eyes on the ball, head straight up, slow load. And the last part of the pre-swing is the stride. And again, it's very difficult, and it takes lots of patience and talent to get them to be loading when the pitcher's loading and take their stride right here. This is where the stride should be, before the ball, just as the ball is released. Okay, and it might seem like an eternity, but how long does it take between here and the ball getting to the hitting zone? What would you say, Andrea, about maybe a half a second? It's pretty fast. So the difference between this and this is in terms of time, it's very little, but in terms of the swing, it's a lot. When they're doing this, they're really vulnerable to changes of speed. And there's the fastball, which is a speed. There's the clip that could be 5 to 7 miles an hour slower. There's the changeup, and those go all over the place. So you want to have that stride done on release. Now you have time to load if that ball is going to be at a different speed than you were anticipating. So it's very simple. It's load, step, and then the swing starts. The swing starts. This is the next part. Make sure I got everything. Okay, when you move to toe touch, our weight now, the weight has come all the way back to the center. So when we load, weight's off center, the head's back here. We take the stride, it's got to come back to the middle. Okay? And a lot of the kids I'm seeing, especially kids that we haven't seen before, or I haven't, from your guys' team, they're getting back here and they're twisting, and now you're swinging off the back foot, which really negates power. So when they take that stride, it's got to be coming back to the middle. Okay, when I take the stride, front heel it stays off the ground. Load, step. So my heel's off the ground. Okay? The swing begins when that ball gets to the hitting zone. This foot comes down. This one immediately comes up. Okay? It immediately comes up. And so what I want to do is I want to drive this side of my body, starting down here, to contact. Okay? And you're going to see kids who, and we've got, video of it, when they do this, all of a sudden, I'm already past contact with my hips. So that would be like trying to throw like this. And that's what they're doing with their bat. So you want to have this coming straight off the ground. I mean, back in the Stone Age when I started, we were always told that you squish the bug. So I would buy those gummy worms, put them in the ground, and have them kill them, And we'd put a ball here and twist hard so that the ball would go flying. Everybody thought we were doing the right thing. And then dartfish came along. We started looking at professionals, men and women, and the good hitters were coming up and driving this knee at contact, okay? Because if you drive the knee at contact, it starts the hips to move. And we want that to happen, okay? So load, step, heel comes down, hips come up, okay? So my hips are ahead of my hands because I don't want to start the shoulders until the hips start moving, okay? So it's like a coil. So the hips start, and now the hands begin to move. Not the hands, I'm sorry, the arms. This wrist, the wrist position I have here, does nothing until much later in the swing, okay? So hips start to move, and we start to rotate. At the point called connection, the whole backside lines up, and that's the critical point. If we don't get to that point, we never are using our whole backside 100%. Okay, so if you know anything about physics, which I don't, power equals force, which is the backside, plus resistance, which is the front side. So for the girls, I know there's different ways to do this, but I'm asking them or telling them, lock the front knee out to keep your head back so that we don't do this in the swing. So what happens is load, step, heel comes down, hips start, arms start moving, and we get to a position called connection, okay? The only way you can get to connection is if this elbow comes past the body. Not like this. Swing is not, again, our coaches call it like, swinging a fence gate. We don't want to swing the fence gate like this, shut. We want to be skipping rocks. So I know one year we were in Colorado, we found a stream, and we all got out of the car, ran through the fence, got to there, and we were just practicing skipping rocks, having a contest how many times it would skip. But that's the same motion. So I'm getting a little bit off target, but hitting a ball is literally throwing the bat at the ball without letting go. And if you don't believe it, have the kids, and I do this too, have them just throw the bat at a fence. And watch the position they're in when they're done, okay? You're going to see them come up to toe. They're not going to squish a bug to do it because they're throwing. So now the brain understands that. So they have to be very much aware of what their hands and their arms are doing. Okay, so at the end of load step, now our base is complete. Everything is centered, heel is up, heel is down. This one immediately comes up and starts driving the knee to contact. And then as soon as the hips start to rotate, the body starts to rotate, and the hands stay close. The hands stay close. A lot of times you're going to see this, okay? Now you've got your bat moving away from the target when everything should be going to it, okay? And when the hands go to the target, the front arm does not lock. These elbows have to maintain the same distance from each other all the way up until connection. In order to do that, this hand is moving forward while that elbow is moving forward. So now my elbows are at the same distance that they were. Make sense? And the only way you do that is bringing the hands forward. And we've got a lot of different drills to illustrate that, but a lot of them want to stop back here and then shut the, close the fence gate. And that's fundamentally not correct in terms of getting everything that you want out of the swing. So I just call it, there's a little invisible corridor here between, the bat or my arm if I'm demonstrating and them, and you've got to bring that through. So that's fundamentally really important, okay? So now I'm at connection, where on a plane, the wrist, the elbow, and the knees line up. Now my whole backside is together. I started ahead with my hips. Now everything is caught up. Okay? The bat is now in the hitting zone, and my elbow is past and my hands are close. From here, depending on where the ball is pitched, okay, my correct alignment on connection is this is highest, this is second, this is the lowest point. Okay, so the bat is below the wrists are below the elbow. From here, okay, my heel is up off the ground. From there, extension. Now the elbows come together. This is the point where everything comes together. And so now I've generated this speed and this power. I've got my resistance in the front, and I'm in the hitting zone, and now the wrists, everything starts locking. Elbows are going to lock, wrists are going to lock to extension. Okay? If they're rotating early like this, okay, you're going to see extension out there somewhere. And so what that tells you, the tail is that your bat came out of that strike zone way before it should have. So let's see. If that's the middle of the plate, and I'm standing a good distance away, and this is a shorter bat, okay? If I do this, you can see I'm not going to cover the whole outside part of the plate. But if I can drive my hip at the ball at connection, I've got way more coverage of the plate than I did when my hips are past it. So it's not just power, it's accuracy. Okay, so again, the hands come through, I'm at connection. Okay, now I'm ready, and we call it just popping the hip. Pop that back hip into the ball and your arms so that nothing slows down on contact. Okay, 60-mile-an-hour ball is coming in. This ball is way heavier than a league ball. So you have to supply a lot more of the impetus yourself, come through, and everything is going to extension. Extension should continue to be in this way. I now have the plate covered, correct? Plate is covered. I want to keep that plate covered all the way through to extension instead of plate covered, not covered. Because this, in a millisecond, you have to be perfect, to make good contact on the ball. With this, you could be a little bit early, a little bit late, and you're still going to make contact on the ball. So we want, there's some drills to do for that, to keep that bat in the hitting zone longer. Okay, make sense? What were the connection points again? Connection point, the wrist, the elbow on the backside, and the knee. Right here. Same plane. If they stop here, there's no connection. You can see it. All they have to do is drop their arm, unless they cheat. Wrist, elbow, knee. Okay? Anything else? Because I'm going through this pretty good. Okay, when they take their stride, I mentioned it before, but you're going to see it a lot. Make sure it's not like this. Okay? Make sure that it doesn't open up, and make sure, like I said before, feet are not pronated out in a different direction. They should be parallel. They should stay parallel until, even here, they're still facing the plate. When they start rotating the hips, front foot could turn. Okay? That's not a problem at all, because now it's part of the swing instead of pre-swing. So this is able to drive right at the ball. So when you're at contact, when you're in the zone, this knee is pointing at where contact's going to be between here and here. Extension. The two elbows now can come together. This is the first time. They're still the same distance apart as they were up here. I haven't moved them. Now they come together. Extension. Palm up on the backhand, palm down. And you could see if you maintain that position, that bat stays on the same plane. No matter where it is, it's going to stay on the same plane. So you're more likely to be correct in what your eyes are seeing and what your bat is doing. And that's really an integral part of the swing, because it all happens in a fraction of a second. one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult action in sport is to hit something coming at you that can go up, down, or sideways, or drop, you know, at a high rate of speed with 9 people trying to get you out. So you're 1 on 9. So to do it right is critical to being successful at the plate. And still, you know, if we're good, we're successful about 3 times out of 10. That would be pretty good, especially as you get older. Because what happens when you get older? Andrea, what happens? Pitching gets better, okay? Okay, so you're literally throwing the hands out there and then finishing with the bat above your shoulder. That's the best way to do it. Whether it's, I don't see where there's a big deal about whether it's 1 hand or 2, as long as they really accelerate through the ball and that bat is flying around. Because I always tell the kids, the follow through will tell you how fast your bat was going through the strike zone. Because if you can stop here, you know, you are actually slowing down out here. You just don't know it because you can't decelerate that quickly without slowing it down out there. And you can demonstrate it just by taking bat speed. Have him do this and then go all the way around and see which one gets you, you know, some more miles an hour. So it works. So that's extension and that's release. Yes?
So to be clear, as long as they're doing everything right, pre-swing and into the swing, if they finish 1 hand, it's okay because they've already made contact.
And they've continued, you know, after extension, now the shoulders, now everything becomes totally rotational, right? I've hit the ball and now my momentum is taking me rotating so that I'm facing the pitcher and both my hips and, you know, the whole body is open, you know, close to the pitcher. And that's important. So we've got all kinds of drills to show that. You know, there's one where we call it a 2-cheek drill where they've got to show, you know, got to see both sides from where I'm sitting tossing. And a 4-cheek one where they do it this way and then reverse and do it all the way this way. So they understand rotation. And you know what's really interesting when they go backwards, or if you have them swing opposite, left-handed if they're right-handed, you will see that the mind knows what to do. There's no squishing bugs when they go backwards. It looks like that. So one of the things I saw this year that you have to really watch carefully is they might be here, but how did they get there? Did they drive this straight up at the ball, or did they do it, I gotta watch my knee here, this way where it starts to come up and then it goes around? You know, and they're much more flexible, so, you know, some of these kids could put their ankle on the ground and doing that. And that's not really driving the hip at the ball. They're just, that's another version of squishing the bug, just with a smaller part of the shoe to be nice to the ground. So you want to see them drive the knee at the ball and then finish the rotation, okay? So that's critical. Okay, before I go to all of the skills and drills part, just want to show you all of the toys we have available here. And all I ask is please leave it here, okay? Because these things should basically stay here. Okay, 2 shorty bats. This one is for the older kids because it's heavier so that they can isolate. Because the whole idea of learning is there are 4 stages of learning, okay? And it's really critical that we understand that because I don't think all coaches do. 4 stages. First stage is unconscious incompetence, which means they don't know what the hell they're doing, okay? They don't know. They don't know what they don't know. Well, that's the simple way to do it. So, hey, you know, I hit 500 last year at tens. I'm an expert. Let's ask my grandson, 12 years old. Hey, Tone, do you want to work on this a little bit? No, Grandpa, I'm already good enough. I'm really good. Okay. So he doesn't know what he doesn't know. The second one, he wants to learn because he wants to pass the first one. So he's listening to everything I'm saying where, you know, Tony is just doing his thing. You know, he's got a lot of power and natural ability, but as he gets older, he's going to have some trouble hitting. So that's unconscious incompetence, where you don't know what you don't know. Little kid watches, you know, a basketball player dunk a ball. I can do that. You just jump up and put the ball through the hoop. So that's unconscious. They don't know. You can't learn at that stage. Second stage is where learning starts, conscious incompetence. Now I go trying to do this, and I can't do it. Wait a minute. Now I know I can't do it. Coach, show me how to do it. And that's where you have to have reasons for what you're doing. Because, the difference between boys and girls, Joe, run through that wall. Okay, all right. That's guys. They're going to do what the coach says. Or they're not if they have an attitude. But girls, why? That wall looks hard. I don't want to, am I going to get injured? Why should I do that? You'll have them asking, even in a practice where you set up a situation, you're going to get 100 questions. Shut them down, okay? Okay, we're going to play a game. You get one swing. If you hit it to the left side, you've got a single. If you hit it to the right side, you're out. Just simple, I made up. What if it's a grounder? Not answering that. I already gave you the rules. What if it goes over second base? They're always looking for, and they're thinking, and that's okay. And I tell them, well, you do what you want, take a risk. Okay? If you fail, that's how you learn. So once I do this, and whoa, now I know I'm squishing that bug. Remember how hard that was, Janelle, to fix that? Now I'm on conscious incompetence. Now learning happens, okay? Now, I want you to do this 3 times. 1, very good. You came right up to toe with that punch. Ooh, I know how to do that now. So I do 3 of those, grab the bat and swing, and I go right back to that, right back to squishing the bug. I didn't have time to think on the 4th one. So I'm consciously competent. If I think about it, I can do it. If I don't think about it, I'm reverting right back to what I've done thousands of times. Okay, and we know that the only way to change that path from the brain down to the muscles is constant and monotonous repetition. So we have to find creative ways to keep that repetition going. So conscious incompetence, I tell the kids, okay, 3 to 1, okay? 3 to 1, you do 3 correctly, and then the last one is bad. You might have 4 or 5 in a row, 3 to 1s, and all of a sudden, we get a 4 and 0. You got it. Let's see if we can go 2 in a row. Yep, nope. Start again. 3 in a row, 3 in a row, 4, 4, 4. We just set a world's record. You did 4 correctly, okay? They need to do that because what's going to happen tomorrow? Going right back to what they were doing before, okay? 500 to 800 repetitions. That was done. I guess people, they didn't have a life, but when they were learning how to type on the keyboard, somebody was actually filming and counting the number of strokes before you knew where the keys were on the typewriter. 500 to 700 reps, and that's how people get up over 100 words a minute, or, the kids with their thumbs can just go crazy because they know where everything is on the keyboard. They only had 2 things to learn. It's just amazing. So what you're doing is moving from conscious competence. The last stage of learning is unconscious competence, where I don't have to think anymore. I can think, as Jerry Morrow said when he came out and did clinics, think stupid at the plate. You worked on this all winter. Think stupid, get up there and do your thing. Trust your training. Were you here when we had him? Yeah? You guys didn't like him. What's the matter, you stupid or what? Oh, he was fun. I thought brilliant guy as far as this stuff. So anyway, getting back to the equipment, you can practice driving the elbow with this, palm up, and you could drive the front and keeping it close, palm down. So these are good for, and again, I mention that because you've got to isolate these skills. There are so many muscles being used in a swing that if you don't isolate the skills, how they keep track of them all. So it's really critical for them to keep track of what's going on. So these 2 are for that. One way to, we've got baby bats. These are for the younger kids and especially the older kids. Okay, if you want to underload, if you want to use the bozo balls with these or this is to increase bat speed. Okay. Girls love this because I'll throw 30 balls, 1, 2, 3, and by the time I get to number 20, it's 4, 5, 6, and they're trying to swing And they get going faster and faster. Now hurry up, pick up your bat, now swing ridiculously hard. And they're not going to make a good swing, but they're swinging faster. And so what we're trying to do is just like what we do in reading. You read faster when you get a timed reading. Your speed goes up, your comprehension goes down. Well, you keep the speed up until the comprehension comes back up, and then you go for more speed. And that's what we're doing here. We get the speed up, swing the bat, our success rate isn't as good. Well, we keep swinging at that speed until this and these understand it, and then we increase bat speed again. So they should be swinging hard when they're practicing. They should be swinging hard. This is where we're going. This is a primary time to really get these kids good. And if you trust what you're doing and you practice efficiently, kids get better. They really improve. Do parents understand that? No. I want to see a game and I want to see him win. I want to see him win a lot and I want to see him a game. And I want my kid to play bat fourth in the lineup and I want her at shortstop every game and I want you to guarantee us 500 games. Okay. Phil just tells him to go home. Okay, the oar. Okay, I ordered this from Amazon. It was for a kayak, so I've got another one at home I'm working on. It's about the size of a bat. And you can toss those wiffle golf balls. I've got them there. But what this is for is palm up, palm down. Okay, because if you roll, you ain't hitting the ball. So if you do that, you're not going to hit the ball. So it kind of reinforces this motion. So if you can hit about, several in a row like that, and that lessens the resistance, so it's easier to swing it. These two, this one Decker designed, this one the UCLA coach Drysdale designed. This one, and these are both for the, this especially for the midgets. It's a little bit lighter, but it's longer by about that much than a regular bat. And what you do is you put a ball on the tee inside, and they have to hit it with the blue part. Okay? If they hit it with this part really hard, they're going to break it. That's why the heavier one isn't, the longer one isn't here. But it's just designed for her kids or college players to keep the hands inside the ball and to hit it with the blue. And that takes some doing. So if they do this, they're going to hit it with this. So that's what this one is for, hit inside pitches, and then the short bat is for hitting outside pitches. So if you drive your knee to the ball and extend out here, you're successful with this bat. If you squish the bug, you're going to go right by it forever. So those are handy. The two lacrosse sticks, just simply for sacrifice bunting. So the whole concept of bunting is you're catching the ball. You're not trying to hit it, so you want to keep them from doing that unless you're teaching push bunt. They should just be meeting the bat and the ball together and putting, if you want it to go right back to the pitcher as a sack, it's all about bat angle. It's not about pushing it or dropping it or doing anything else. Keep it still. This one, it's got a little P inside of it. Please don't use regular balls. This thing is starting to bend. Wiffle balls, this isn't about bat strength, or leg strength. This is about where is your extension? Is your extension here because you lock this elbow early? So is your extension before you even touch the ball? And that's where your maximum speed is. Or if you keep your hands close together, is your extension, your maximum speed out here? You want it to be accelerating through the zone, not behind it. You can hear it back there. So it's a good audio measure of what you're doing. I'm donating this. This is a heavier bat, wooden, so that if they are flat, the bat is flat like this or down, bringing it to the hitting zone is really a little bit more difficult than if it's here and coming to the hitting zone. So it just tells that bat position is good. This is another light stick for underloading speed. And then this one, this is about the weight of a bat. And so this is for focus. Throw real thin balls and hit them. Not in here, but outside, I used to throw popcorn kernels. See if you can hit them, right? Or else you had to do push-ups if they didn't. Okay. Heavy balls for the legs, okay? Make sure that when you feel that ball, drive your backside into it. And the same thing with these guys, fantastic for hitting, for driving the legs. And man, some of the kids are really hitting these hard, so that's a good thing. These, just simply, it's a weighted ball. There's a couple of things you can do. Exercises, get your legs strong by jumping up in the air. But the other thing is, this would be for the older kids. There's 5-pound ones for the younger ones. Just simply throw it like a bat. And you're going to see that extension, everything else comes nice. And that the contraption, the red thing that goes around back there, same thing. You don't only have to hit it, but you can throw it to extension and see if the pendulum stays, or are they throwing it this way where it'll go crazy. So all of those things kind of can help with that throwing concept. The pods. Just helps reinforce the idea with the front foot or the back foot that you're coming up. It's a lot easier to come up with your heel like this. You're never flat on this thing. So for the back foot, you're up. So you got a head start getting to toe. And if you're using it for the front foot, there's your wall. It's easier to maintain that wall if you've got your foot on an angle. So when you lock out, it's a lot easier to stay back here. So these are helpful in having them feel that. Punching pad, very simple. That's for a drill where they're punching into it instead of, because some of these kids, if they see your hand up there, they salivate. I've already had that. Gloves can be used to help teach bunting, okay? Since we say that bunting is something where you are, you're catching the ball with your bat. If they can get an opposite hand glove when they're bunting, okay, just put the glove there and try to visualize catching it. And then they won't be doing this stuff and everything else. So get it to eye level and catch it. I can go over fundamentals of that later. So we got 2 gloves here. Colored balls I mentioned. I think all of you know what these are. These things are fantastic, especially if you're warming up. They work in here because you can hit them as hard as you want and they don't hurt at all, unless you get it in the eyeball. So those are good. This is a stride box. I'm using it in here, but outside you can nail it into the ground so that they don't overstride, because it'll move it all over the place. So just load, step, swing, and they're aware that that thing is there, and it just helps understand that's all the strides you need. So that's the stride box I was talking about. I got the golf balls here. These, I don't know which costs more, but this is a Menards dog toy. And this is, I think, from hittingdisc.com. Okay, these are probably a lot more expensive than these, but it does the same thing. Okay, it does the same thing. Palm up, palm down. Catch hand. Okay, palm up, palm down. If I'm throwing to my partner, I want to see this, where it's going right to her on that plane. Be ready, John. If I roll my wrist, there it goes. Okay, it's going to crash land. No. Yeah, well, I got to make sure with that damn chair you got. Okay. If they extend incorrectly, it's going to go, or if you want them to extend to right field, those things are real handy. So that's everything as far as toys go. Okay. Girls, I'm going to need you real soon now. Skills and drills. I want to go through these, just a couple of them quickly, and then you guys are going to try some of these so that you know how to teach them.